Hello, and welcome to the first video in the hardware portion of our FTC YouTube series, created and hosted by Team Ultra 10539. Today's video will be about the many building systems that you can use: Tetrix, here, REV Extrusions, and Actobotics. There are many other building systems that could also work, but these are the three that are most commonly used in FTC due to their size and ease of use. Starting with Tetrix. Tetrix parts are relatively easy to use, and they're probably what most teams start off with when they first start in FTC. Connecting them is quite simple, only requiring a few screws, sort of like this, and by putting the nuts on the other side, which I'm sure you guys are aware of how to do. And installing axles in Tetrix parts is equally easy because you just need a few bushings and axles and shaft collars and hubs, and then you can have a very easy system to use. However, the system has many advantages, such as its ease of use and compatibility, and you can use this building system alone to build a robot. However, the parts are rather large and bulky, which wastes lots of valuable space on the robot. There are also very few holes on which to attach things to, so this makes them difficult to customize to your particular application. In addition, they are difficult to use in CAD because the lengths are very fixed. And finally, if you want to combine Tetrix parts with other building systems, it will be rather difficult because the holes will not line up well. The second building system that we are going to talk about is REV. REV parts are significantly more confusing to use in comparison to Tetrix parts, but allow for much more flexibility when designing the robot. Connecting REV extrusions uses these brackets, such as these inside corner brackets here, to connect the extrusions like this, by inserting the screws into the channels of the extrusions. The REV building system is based on different types of screws, which are used in different situations. Hex screws can be used when the end of the extrusion is accessible, like we did here, but when the end of the extrusion is not accessible, in another situation, we can use T-screws. We go into more detail about how this process works in another video that is linked in the description below. The advantage of REV parts is that they are easy to modify. They can be cut on a saw to length, and it does not disrupt their function. Additionally, they are rather small in their diameter, being only 15 millimeters across, and they can be used without wasting large amounts of space on the robot. However, they have many disadvantages, such as they are more complex to install, must be cut to their specific length, sometimes are not as stable, and use millimeters as units, so the holes don't always line up correctly when using parts that have the screw holes in them. However, they do work better with other building systems than Tetrix because the screws can be easily moved within the extrusions. The third and final building system that we plan to talk about today is Actobotics. Actobotics parts are also significantly easier to use on your robot than Tetrix parts. There are many more of them that are much more adapted to their specific use case. They function a lot like Tetrix parts and they look very similar. However, they have many more holes on them on which to mount things. The advantages of this system are that it's very similar to Tetrix in its ease of use. It can be mounted almost exactly the same way. However, you can mount them wherever you want along here because there are so many holes that can line up. However, again, like Tetrix, the Actobotics parts are relatively large, so they take up a lot of space, and unfortunately, this is the least documented building system for FTC team use. However, there are still many great resources for you to use out there should you choose to go with Actobotics as your main construction system for your robot. Our team in particular uses REV parts, as you can see on our robot here, which can be used like this to create various very compact and custom designs. For a first-year team, it would probably be best to go with REV parts rather than Tetrix parts, as you could stick with one building system only and not need to interface different systems. However, the Tetrix parts are also a good option if you want a simpler building system, although you may feel limited in your design capabilities in the future. For a second or third year team looking to expand their parts library, I'd recommend looking into REV parts as they are building and giving their building system a shot, as it may prove more useful to you than the Tetrix parts. Many high-scoring teams use REV parts as they are much easier to modify to the exact designs that the teams hope to use. Actobotics is also a good option, which some teams also use, but then again, the FTC documentation is not as good for Actobotics, so not as great for newer teams.
Overall, REV and Actibotics are by far the more flexible in terms of the ease of use in comparison to Tetrix. So if you're looking to switch systems, definitely try one of those. REV probably offers the most compatibility simply due to its system of screws that allows them to be placed anywhere along the extrusions. But Actibotics is also a great choice because the building system allows for you to mount basically anywhere along its main structural components due to the many holes that are present on Actibotics parts. The websites to buy these parts will be linked in the description below. I hope that this has helped you understand a bit more about all the building systems that can be used in FTC. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to us at ultra@browning.edu or just leave your question in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.